Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, I'm going to talk about unpacking boxes. And I'm actually on my way to go help my oldest son and his family unpack some boxes. They recently moved and thought about changing clothes before I made the video. And then I thought of Maria and The Sound of Music at the end when the German says, "And why are you wearing traveling clothes?" And she says, "These are our costumes." Costume. So if you would like to support my questionable rationalization, wearing a shirt and a sweat jacket, put nice costume in the comments. So unpacking boxes in the new normal. All right, honestly, I'm just as tired of new normal in unprecedented times as anyone else. However, they do accurately describe what we're facing. I mean, we are in unprecedented times and we are creating a new normal. The first time that I heard the phrase new normal was when I did some work for the Military Child Education Coalition. And like a bank of facilitators, a group of us would go to a community and then meet with community leaders, like different ones, the hospitals, healthcare, schools, government, and we would talk to them and try and explain to them what military children were facing when parents came back from Iraq and Afghanistan. And they had physical or mental or both challenges. And so their family life was different. They were facing a new normal. And so we helped the communities understand what that new normal looked like for them and what they could do to help. So the new normal that we are all facing can be as dramatic as the military children that were facing parents that came home different. Certainly frontline workers, some who are living in RVs in front of their own homes and fear for their lives. People that have caught COVID-19 and still suffer some of the consequences, and family members of people of both of those groups. I mean, and I'm sure there's so many more that I'm not even mentioning, but my heart goes to them. These are people that are truly challenged in this new normal with life and death situations. The rest of us also have a new normal. It might not be as dramatic, but it's still a new normal. I mean, we're asked to social distance, to wear masks to protect others. And none of the things that we've been requested to do are unreasonable given the scope and scale of COVID-19. But it's given us a lot of time to sit around and think. So anyone who's been in my leadership series knows that I like metaphors, and great leaders use metaphors to help make things understandable and easier to see. So the one that came to me, probably because I've been helping my son and his family move, is moving. I've moved about 20 times, and it's always a messy experience. Everyone packs up your stuff and brings it in, and then you just have piles of boxes, and then the movers and the truck leave, and you turn around and you are faced with just mountains of boxes. So they've taken everything out of your house, like back of drawers, bottom of closets, things you haven't seen in ages are in these boxes, and they're in your way. I mean, you have to walk around all of these things to get around. So if we use the metaphor, those things in those boxes were things at the back of our drawer and, in the bottom of our closet, things that we had not looked at for a really long time. And now they're in our way. They're right there all the time. So we have some choices. We can keep walking around them, until we're free again to distract ourselves, or we can actually take this time to deal with those boxes. So the other metaphor that I like to use, because I really like metaphors, is a garden. And I talk about this one in leadership series, that we're born and we have this beautiful open garden and we have space to live and run and play. And then as we go through life, things happen, things that are disappointing or hurtful. So I don't know, a lot of them happen in childhood. So let's just say in third grade, I drew something and someone made fun of it. So then I just rope off this little piece of my garden where drawing sits. And I'm like, not going there. That was not fun. So for me, I had several questionable cooking experiences when I was younger. And so I might just like rope off cooking and say, you know what, that just is really too hard and embarrassing to try to fix food. And we have relationships. We all have relationships throughout our lives that maybe don't go right. So we rope off that area. A lot of the clients that I work with don't like conflict. And so they will rope off the conflict area, like not doing anything that's going to put me in that area. Okay, so now we have changed our completely open, beautiful garden where we had lots of room to run and play into a maze. So that we are like, oh, nope, can't do that. We bump into our roped off areas like, oh, can't draw, nope, can't cook, relationship, forget it, conflict. No, 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 no. All right. So we've limited ourselves. So now, because of COVID-19 in great part, we have a chance to sit and figure out those things. Like what's in our roped off areas, what's in our boxes that we could get rid of. So how do we do that? I mean, how do you deal with that? So the first thing to do is to sit with it. We want to acknowledge whatever feeling we're having. It's usually some sort of discomfort in the beginning, like you're sitting and you have some discomfort and it's like, I've got to go do something, and when the world is open and we can go, then we can go shopping or grocery shopping or whatever, go to a park, go to an exercise class, go to the gym. I mean, we have lots and lots of options that we can do when the world is open, and now we don't. So we're kind of stuck sitting with this. So if you have that urge, like to go do something, generally it's a discomfort that's there, and it's good to just sit with it. So name it. So this discomfort, what is it? Like, what is bothering me? What am I trying to avoid thinking about or facing? So in the blog that I recently wrote, the example I gave was when I sat with my discomfort, it was around work, because like many people, I've lost quite a bit of work when you do leadership training in person and no one's allowed to be in a group. It puts a damper on your business. And a lot of my things have been postponed or canceled. And so I started thinking about it. And so one of the options, of course, is to go online. But every time I think about that, it feels hopeless, because I've tried before to go online, and not maybe a wholehearted effort, but I created an online class that little or nothing has ever happened with it. And so as I sit there, I get this really uncomfortable, like, you're a failure. You're like, you just can't do that. Like, don't go there. It's like cooking. That's bad, you know? And so it's like, no, I can open this box and I can look at it and I can see why I feel this way, right? So in any choice or situation that we're uncomfortable with, we have three choices. And anyone that's been in my leadership series knows these, and I expect you to like say them out with me. You can change it, you can accept it, or you can flee, right? So in changing it, it can be an action or a perspective. So I can choose to change my perspective about online presence. It's a different world now. People are more willing to do things and even required now. I've done Zoom trainings that I'd never done before. So to shift from hopelessness, that feeling of like, there's just no point in trying this, to one of, yeah, I could give this a shot again. Then if I'm going to accept it, then I could just say, well, yeah, no hope. Just let that go, like go apply at a grocery store, and get some money some other way until we can meet together again. And the last one is flee, which it could mean like a complete and total career change. Maybe which I have toyed with this idea before, is learning how to code, learning how to create websites or databases or something else is like a complete career shift, something that can always be done from home. But so as I look at that one, I'm not ready to do that one yet. I actually like working with computers, but I like what I do so much better. And I honestly believe that the skills that I teach are useful, that they change people's lives for the better. I mean, I honestly believe that. And they've changed mine. So let's see. So those are my three choices: change it, accept it, or flee. So let me back up a second. If facing the boxes seems overwhelming to you, like you're like, no way, I just can't even open that box. Uh, the first thing to do is like look at the blogs I wrote on the polyvagal theory. And I know it sounds boring, but it can really help you create a foundation and get to a state. Technically, it's the ventral vagal victory state, that makes you more open-minded, better at problem solving. You can see a bigger picture. And it's really hard to open those boxes if you're in one of the other two states, which is fight or flight, or dorsal vagal, which is depressed, down in the hole, no energy. So facing a box is practically impossible if you're not up in that ventral vagal state. Now, the box may be contributing to that, but there are other small steps that you can take, and they're listed in the second of those two blogs. There are things that you can try that will help you move up towards the ventral vagal state. So that's the first thing. The second thing, if you're having trouble facing the boxes, is get help from a friend or a coach, a life coach, or a therapist, someone that you can talk to, because honestly, it's kind of hard to figure this stuff out, to figure out, what's bothering you, and to look at it in an objective way. All right, so that's the next step, or the next option, is to get into observer mode. So we know that if we're really stuck in one of the lower states, I'm in fight or flight, or I'm really depressed, I've lost my creative ability, I am like a really narrow focus, I'm not very broad-minded, I don't see the big picture. So we know all of those things. And we also know that one of the ways to move up and to engage our adult creative brain is to become an observer of ourselves. So when our neocortex is disengaged, we can re-engage it by stepping out of ourselves and becoming an observer. And one of the ways we can do that is to check in with where we're feeling something in our body. So if I'm feeling this discomfort, and then I realize that it's a sense of hopelessness, I can just sit and say, okay, hopeless, where am I feeling that? And kind of step out and go, oh, such a heavy feeling, in my chest, in my heart. Okay, so that's where the feeling sits. Now let's think about what's causing it. All right, so it's professional. What are you going to do? Then I'm like, okay, there's a little panic there. So where's the panic? It's like I feel a buzzing around my head. It's like, okay, we can deal with the panic. Like, what's going on? All right. So that's what led me to the whole online presence thing. So we're going to sit and we're going to think about the emotion that we're feeling. And then it's like, what's causing this? Like, I found out mine was, kind of the intimidating prospect of creating more of an online presence. But it could be anything. It can be a job, a task, a relationship. It can be a sense of self-worth, like a lack of self-worth. It can be so many different things, very, very individual, because as I think of us all running out the door, to go shopping, like Lowe's is a madhouse, even when everything else is closed. And I think of us, I'm included, running, out to do something because something's chasing us, and something different is chasing each one of us. We are all running from something different, and it can be big or it can be small, but we're still running, and we're still, the bottom line is what we can't be with runs our lives, and we don't want those things running our lives. Okay, so for me, all right, I've got my blog here. Let me make sure that I've covered everything in here, because I don't want to miss anything in here. We've talked about the garden. We've talked about the autonomic nervous system. Oh, I didn't mention that there are lists of emotions. Like, Sometimes it's really hard to know the emotion you're feeling, and it's easier to look at a list. There's a bunch of lists online. I've listed a couple in the blog. When I was looking through them, I never found frustration, which I think is something I run from a lot. Like, I'm frustrated by it. And once again, it's your deal. You find your list or not do a list, whatever. It's just a suggestion. If you're kind of stuck on what emotion that you're feeling, you can look at a list, and sometimes that helps. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. I think we're right down to the end. So when we're facing this new normal, what we have is an opportunity to decide who we want to be in this new normal, right? So my example, I decided that I'm going to give it a shot. I am going for the online presence. There's so many different ways to do that now that are so much easier. And I've actually lined up a virtual assistant to start in September. And so I'm doing some of the strategic pieces to get ready for that person to start in September. And I'm really excited about it. And it's given me a sense of purpose and hope from hopelessness. But we get to decide who we want to be in this new normal. And it's also that great opportunity to get rid of the things that don't support us in being who we want to be in this new normal, and to bring in more things that help us be who we want to be in this new normal. So the unpacker in me says to the unpacker in you, you've got this. We can do it. We can create more freedom and space in our lives.